Hi, I'm Jerry Baker, America's Master Gardener. Welcome to another one of my supercharged Power Pack gardening specials, year-round rose care. You know, roses are the most popular of all of the garden flowers. And they're grown in all parts of the country and can be used for dozens of decorative purposes, and you don't have to spend a fortune. Somewhere, there's the perfect rose for you. And the search can be a whale of a lot of fun. Now, there are many varieties of roses available for use in borders, lawns, even as specimens. And for the tiniest bit of space you got, there's the mini fairy princess of rosedom. Now, these grand ladies belong in your garden. In this special, we'll look at rose care up close and personal, step by step, throughout the year, discussing soil preparation, site selection, feeding, cleaning, and putting your roses to bed for winter. There's lots of ground to cover, and I don't want to waste any of your time, so let's get growing. There are several ways to buy a rose. The first and least expensive way is bare root. It means it comes just like this, no soil on it. It'll come in a package that has sawdust in it that's wrapped around this, and then a decorative container around that. These are the least expensive, and they're generally not the latest varieties. There are patented roses, but they're the ones that are a little farther back. The very popular ones, the old popular ones, are in bare root. So if you're like me and you like the popular ones, then you'll want to buy these. Make sure that when you purchase a bare root rose, that number one, that the green stalks are green, they're not waxed, not real heavy, and any old or woody black rotted wood, I don't want any more of the dieback than there is. This is a healthy one. I would cut that out. I would cut this one out. Any of that's dieback, in order to make sure that it survives. Then you always want to soak bare root. When you get them home, soak them in a bucket of nice warm water. Potted roses. Potted roses are merely bare root roses of the latest variety purchased by the nurseryman, planted into the mix that we talk about so many times, and grown on. These are wonderful. These are ready to go in the ground, generally this size, and they go from 1 gallon up to 10 gallons. You can have a full-blown one. Here again, what I'm looking for is good, healthy foliage, no black spots on, lots and lots of buds, but not a lot of open flowers, because once the flower opens and blasts, that's what we call it, then you have to cut back to just above a 5-leaf cluster in order to get another flowering spur to come out. Then you've got to wait maybe 2 weeks, 10 days, maybe even 3 weeks in order to have. Again, making sure that it's strong, there aren't a lot of broken limbs on it. What you don't want to do is buy plants that someone has just gone along and cut all the tops off, or that there are long canes coming out with no foliage at all, and that there are black spots. You don't want to buy anything bringing it home with black spots on it or any funk diseases, because you're going to bring it home to your plants. There's pre-packaged. Those are the ones that come to you with they look just like this, and they're cut back in wood. They're in a box, planted in the soil. They'll usually come from the mail order houses. They're good roses. They're easy to plant. The instructions are there. It just means that you don't have to dig a hole and make a cone. Just remember to make sure that the plant that you purchase is healthy, because a healthy rose is a happy rose, which makes you very happy when it blooms for you. We're going to practice the real estate formula for rose growing. Location, 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 and that's what your roses need. The proper location with good growing conditions. First of all, you want to make sure that your soil is well drained. Well drained means that the water will run through. It will hold some moisture, but it won't hold enough to drown it. And so you want to make sure that you have good drainage. And roses will grow just about any place in the country if you have the proper location. You want to make sure that you got water close by, because they have to be watered in the morning and on hot days to the soil. You want to make sure that water is close by. You need a half a day of full sun, and that will be afternoon as opposed to morning, because the morning is too light. They really, really need it lightly. Hedges. Hedges are the greatest barrier, wind barrier, against the north and the west wind. So are good fences or something. If you're using hedges, you have to make sure that before the season begins, that you root prune the roots of your hedges all the way along, so that your roses aren't competing with the roots of the hedges. Because if they do, the hedges are going to win, your roses are going to lose. You have to give your roses plenty of room to grow. Don't cramp them up. Give them room. They're an individual plant. They're a show plant. They're a lady. They don't like people messing around with them. If you take time to prepare the beds that your roses are going in, you will have the queen of the garden in your garden. But without that help, you're not going to have anything. So remember, it's location, location, location. We talked about location, location, location. Now we got to talk about soil conditions. You have to prepare the soil properly for your roses if you want them to grow. You can't just dig a hole any old place, plop them in the hole, push the dirt back in around them, expect them to grow, because they're not going to do that. But that happens to be what the majority of people who go out and buy a rose do. I want you to stop doing that. Number one, roses need a hole between 18 and 20 inches in diameter. 18 inches deep. If you're planting a bed, then I want the bed 4 feet wide, and then the holes within them 18 to 20 inches wide and 18 inches deep. And you say, wait a minute, my soil is too heavy, I can't do that. Okay, then you can go with a raised garden, and that's just 2x10s. You nail them together, you place them in the area where you want them. Remember, it has to be a sunny spot. Now you've only got to dig your hole 8 inches deep. No matter whether it's 8 inches deep and then the balance of it is 10, so you got your 18, or just an 18-inch hole, what you have to do is improve the drainage, because roses do not like to sit with their feet in water. They'll drown. They can't swim, can't breathe, and you won't hear them call for help till all the leaves come off and they're dead. Make darn sure that the water drains well. If you have to improve the drainage, then at the bottom of the 18 inches, dig another 6 inches and put a layer of good large stones or pebbles, and then begin to build up the soil. And into the soil that's going to be built up, you're going to put either dry or well-rotted manure into the soil. Mix it really, really well. Not only manure, but they also like things like hair. Hair, a slow-release nitrogen protein. Take a banana peel and work that into the soil. Put almost anything that you could possibly think of that would enrich the soil. I do not like dry fertilizer mixed in. I will take a poultry manure that's dry, or I'll take a sludge, mix that in. Now, roses like to live in soil that's slightly on the acid side, between 5.5 and 6.5. So why not take a soil test? Soil tests don't cost a lot of money. You can buy a soil test kit in any garden center, and you can do it yourself and then take it off after that. Now, let's say that you had to increase the acidity. Then you will use sulfur. If you have to decrease it, then you will add lime. The roses, like anything you put into the soil, peat moss, topsoil sterilized, professional mix, any of these things enrich and enhance the soil, and they enhance the opportunity, and they ensure that your roses are going to grow in your yard and be beautiful, and you'll be proud of them, and they'll be awful proud of you. You've selected your rose, you've picked the spot, you've dug the hole, and now the most important thing that you're going to do for your rose is plant it, because it's its permanent living space. You want to make sure that you got the right spot and that you do it right. You begin by mixing 75% bone meal. Bone meal is a slow-release nitrogen with 25% Epsom salts, which deepens the color, thickens the petal, and increases root structure. You will also add a half a teaspoon of sugar for each rose bush. Put a handful a very light handful. Just sprinkle it around the sides and the bottom. It's slow release, it won't hurt anything. And now you're prepared to get down to planting your plant. Now you will take the mixture of 75% topsoil, 25% peat moss, put a thin layer in the bottom, over the top of the stones, or even in the bottom if you don't have stones. And now you're ready to put the plant into its home. If you have a container grown plant, then be very careful and make sure that when you put it in as gently as you can and hold it in position. And now pour some of the mixture of peat moss and potting soil around it, packing it down firmly, holding it so that it's straight. You want to make sure that it's straight, it's in the direction that you want it. Now, push some of the existing soil that you have around it to support it as well, because that's what's going to have to live and get everything out of. Now, turn your water on and let the water gently run and to pack down the water. And while you're waiting for that to go down, if you live in an area where the soil is really heavy, make sure that you put a handful of gypsum in the bottom, pelletized gypsum. And what it does is it changes the molecular structure of the soil, changes the particle sizes of the soil. Let that run all the way down, then add the rest of the mixture around the plant. Packing it down as you go. Make sure you pack it down. Bring your soil in, and I want you to do a mound and a water retention trough around it. Once this is done, now you can go ahead and mix the tonic that it's going to need to get off and really get going and growing. And let me tell you, with this tonic, it really will. You're going to start with a half a gallon of weak tea water. And there I use a tablespoon of instant tea. I add to that a tablespoon of hydrogen peroxide, a tablespoon of liquid dish soap to soften the soil. Hydrogen peroxide destroys any of the bacteria killer chlorine that was around in water. Then I'm going to use a teaspoon of B1. All vitamin B1 is a plant food with a vitamin B1 niacin tablet in it. That's all, and that jumps up. A dentist in New Jersey in 1936 discovered that. A teaspoon of whiskey. The enzymes in whiskey are greater and richer than those in beer. It has nothing to do with the alcohol. Stir that up real good and give each rose bush a cup of this solution. And I'll guarantee you, these things will get up and begin to grow and perk and smile and be happier than all get out, and so will you.